Hello, it's 9 p.m. It's time for the English News edition. Here are our major stories for tonight. Signature Convention for the Financing of Urban Development Project. And in Syria, beginning of medical evacuation in eastern Ghouta, close to Damascus. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. The Minister of Economy and Finances in charge of industry, Ilyas Moussa Douale, along with other officials, signed this Wednesday a convention for the Republic of Djibouti for the implementation of the integrated urban development project 2 in the neighborhoods of Leyablé in Berbela. Let's watch this video for more details.
The Minister of the Economy and Finance, Mr. Ilyas Moussa Douale, the Chargé d'Affaires of the Embassy of France in Djibouti, Ms. Souad, the Director General of the ADDS, Mr. Mahad Mohamed Jama, and the General Director of the French Development Agency in Djibouti, Mr. Philippe Pauline, signed this Wednesday, December 2017, a convention in favor of the Republic of Djibouti for the implementation of the Integrated Urban Development Project 2, called BDUI2, in the neighborhood of Leyablé and Mosquitoes Net in Balbala. This new project, worth 6 million euros, which finance a vast urban restoration project in Balbala. This program follows the 2 urban projects financed by the AFD in the past, in collaboration with the Djiboutian Social Agency ADDS. The challenge of those initiatives is to fight against extreme poverty and reduce urban inequality by improving the living conditions of those inhabitants. With approximately 275,000 inhabitants, Balbala, which now has more than half of the population of Djibouti city and concentrates the half majority of poverty situation, is a priority for intervention.
And to find out more about the details of this signature, let's listen to the Minister of Economy and Finances.
The project aims to improve the living conditions of the inhabitants of Leyablé section and Mousquetaire section in terms of safety and functionality of the public spaces by enhancing their urban environment. In order to ensure the sustainability of the action, the project seeks to enhance also the local activities fabric and the capacities of the authorities to supervise the urban development.
And as well, under the co-chairmanship of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Jamia Al-Moukiye, and the Ministry of Labor, Hassan Idriss Samire, a high-level meeting was held today in the meeting room of the Ministry of Health to discuss the ways and means of guaranteeing quality public services and improving the reception of users at the level of the health department. The purpose of this meeting was mainly to implement the declaration of services to citizens through the implementation of the administrative reform initiated by the government of Djibouti for a modern, efficient and local administration that is in the service of the citizen. It is a question of making the public service constantly more competitive and even more attractive so that it is totally devoted to listen to the fellow citizens. During this meeting, the Executive Secretary in charge of the reform of the administration outlined the main lines of the reform of the administration by drawing up an executive list of objectives fixed within the framework of this important reform. And in his speech, the Minister of Labor warmly thanked and congratulated the Department of Health for the tangible progress that has been made in this current administrative reform. For his part, the Minister of Health, Dr. Jamia Al-Moukiye, urged his collaborators to preserve further in this way and to redouble their efforts to bring health facilities even closer to his fellow citizens. The Minister has also given firm instructions that all measures and commitments made under this reform be fully finalized and implemented by the end of January 2018. The Minister of Health Jama Meokiye received in his cabinet a large delegation from the Saudi Development Fund, which was introduced by Mr. Fahmi Al-Haka, the Special Advisor to the President of the Republic, to discuss and finalize the financing project of medical equipment. More in this video.
Yesterday afternoon, the Minister of Health, Dr. Jama Al-Meokiye, received in his cabinet a large delegation from the Saudi Fund, which was introduced by Mr. Al-Hajj, Special Advisor of the President of the Republic, to discuss on the financing of the equipment project medical. The Saudi delegation was made up of Operation Manager and two other heads of the Operation Department of the Saudi Fund, Mr. Al-Bayhazi and Mr. Al-Habib. The discussion focused on the progress and the final terms of the implementation and the acquisition project.
As well as the Minister of Health, Dr. Jama Meokiye, in his speech thanked the administrators of the Saudi Fund of Development. Let's listen to him.
During this meeting, members of the delegation of the Saudi Fund have already issued their no oral objection of the continuation of the project, which is in final phase of acquisition. All of this is because of our President of Republic, who has developed excellent friendly relations with all the countries around the world, including the Saudi Arabia, and his advisor, Mr. Fahmi Al-Haji, who convinced the Saudi Fund of Development to make a donation to our country.
The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, King Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, met this morning the Teacher Training Center heads of institutions of private education associations. According to the Minister, the purpose of this meeting is to strengthen the public-private partnership for quality education. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud also reassured the heads of the French and Arabic speaking schools of the entire support of the MENFA by giving them, among other things, the continuous and initial training of teachers at the CFF. The Minister of Education has in his intervention welcomed the place and the role of the private sector in the education of Djiboutian children. Flagship measure widely applauded was also taken during this meeting. Now students of private high school who passed their baccalaureate would no longer be considered free candidates as in the past, but also simply candidates in the same way as their comrades public high schools. Djibouti once again took a step toward the connected world of the Internet. For a run in the field in this far of Africa to connect, here is the words which is the masterpiece of this project. As we know, the Dare submarine communication cable Djibouti Africa Regional Express is a cable system planned along the east coast of Africa between Tanzania and Yemen, managed by a consortium of 7 operators. No one today is fully capable of measuring the depth of the changes that the development of the Internet generates throughout the world. In the relations between individuals, companies and states, it is now common to say that the net polishes borders and distance, produces both abundance and uniformity, and is an autonomous and dematerialized space while being deeply rooted in the daily lives of everyone. Multiple actors ranging from the occasional growing producer of content to multinational internet companies who rely on potential customers based on almost a third of the world's population, but by half by 2020 will participate in the uninterrupted growth of this ecosystem. It must be said that the signing of this project is one of the vectors of a new stage of globalization and digital economy. And in a brief speech at the launch ceremony of the regional submarine cable project, the Minister of Communication in charge of Pulses in Telecommunication, Hassan Yusuf Suge, stressed the efforts of Djibouti Telecom to upgrade the ICT sectors in the Republic of Djibouti. This move will undoubtedly, he said, to contribute to the strengthening of our country's position as a regional and international hub for telecommunications and to meet the increasing demand for internet services. The minister pointed out that the importance of strengthening cooperation and partnership among the countries of the region in order to find a suitable period to achieve the common goals in the field of information and communication technologies. Continuing with the national news, a technical meeting was held in the Ministry of Decentralization and the Ministry of Energy, chaired by the Minister of Decentralization, Mohamed Hamadou Aramis, and the Minister of Energy, Yonis Ali Gedi. The objective is to electrify all the most remote localities in the country. Energy is one of the important aspects of sustainable development. The meeting brought together several senior staff from two ministries. A reflection and brainstorming took place during the day. This reflection will put forward the whole subject concerning the electrification of the most remote localities. This project aims to improve the living conditions of rural populations. Under the auspices of the State Secretariat for Youth and Sports, the preparation for the National Dialogue with the National Youth are launched. A mission of the Organizing Committee of the National Youth Conference had discussed yesterday with representative of local youth at the headquarters of their Community Development Center at PK12. Young people from PK12, PK13, Shabelle of neighborhood Gargar and Bulduko, and also the GR and the GN all took part in the meeting, during which they were able to expose the problems of youth in terms of sports facilities in the community centers, but also raise the problems of hygiene neighborhoods and the dwellings that haunt them in their daily lives. The objective for this meeting is the preparation of young people for the spirit of dialogue between the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, and young representatives of their peers from all neighborhoods and communities. And let us remember that this great new debate between the youth and their president will take place in the course of January of the year 2018 to come. It should be noted that it is taking place in a crucial period of development in the country, where major infrastructure for sustainable development, economic growth have become operational. And as well, continuing the tour of the regions as part of the launch of the preparations for the National Youth Dialogue with the head of state, organized under the leadership of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, Hassan Kamil, was at Arta's turn. After at the City of Unity and the City of Ali Sabih, the National Committee of the Organization of the National Youth Dialogue held yesterday a meeting of information and consultation with the young people of the region of Arta. Opened by the President of Arta Region Council in the presence of the Sub-Prefect of the Arta, meeting was moderated by several senior officials of the State Secretariat for Youth and Sports and other ministerial departments such as Musa Ali Muhammad, Munir Said Ali and Roble Jibril. During this preparatory meeting, interactive exchanges between an audience of young people from the city of Arta and its surroundings and the preparation committee focused on the themes and variants as well as the relevant issues to be raised in this next conference for the youth. And during this meeting, the young people were able to raise issues as well as raise their grievances. And let's recall that this great new debate between the youth and their president will be held in the course of January of the year 2018. And it should be noted that it is taking place in a crucial period of development in their country, where major infrastructure for sustainable economic growth have become operational. And now on the international news, critical ill patients are being evacuated from the PCH's Syrian rebel-held enclave of Stern Ghouta, by the fate of the hundreds of others with life-threatening conditions remains unresolved. The International Committee of Red Cross in Syria said its staff, along with those of the Syrian Arab Red Cross, had begun the evacuation of critical medical cases from eastern Ghouta to central Damascus on Wednesday. The Syrian American Medical Society also said 4 patients had been taken to hospitals in Damascus. The first of 29 critical cases approved for medical evacuation, and the remainder will be evacuated over the coming days. They include 18 children and 4 women with heart disease, cancer, kidney failure and blood diseases. The news was confirmed by the official Syrian government news agencies and appears to follow local negotiations as well as several humanitarian appeals from high-profile figures including Sheikh Abdullah of Jordan, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Turkey's president, and Sergei Lavrov, Russia's foreign minister. Almost 400,000 residents of eastern Ghouta, one of the last remaining rebel strongholds of Syria, have been caught in regime search for the last 5 years, and some have been urgent need of medical attention for months. And while we close this edition here, and have a good night.